You ever wonder what makes a ghost story really, truly scary? It's not just the jump scares, right? It's something deeper. It's the way a story builds atmosphere, the characters it throws into danger, and that slow, creeping feeling of dread. So today, let's dive in and pull apart a modern horror story called Evil Nun. We're going to see exactly how the machinery of fear is built, piece by chilling piece. Every great horror story has to have a hook, something that grabs you from the very first line. And this one, it kicks things off with a classic, an old abandoned church that's been locked up for years, and a dog just going absolutely wild outside. You immediately know something is very, very wrong with this place.
So what happens to the poor dog? Well, the story doesn't make us wait. Whatever's inside that church drags the dog in, and then, just moments later, throws its dead body back out. Now, this is just a perfect piece of horror storytelling. It's a brutal, sudden act that sets the stakes right away. It tells us, loud and clear, whatever is in there is powerful, it's angry, and it is deadly.
All right, so let's meet the people who are about to have a very, very bad day. We've got Roshan, Jatin, and Mandeep, 3 college buddies on a trip. And this setup, it's meant to feel familiar, right? They're young, they're free, and they're about to make a series of classic horror movie mistakes. And what's their motivation? You guessed it, they're bored. They feel like their trip is just a little too safe, a little too predictable. And that craving for some real, actual adventure, that's the engine that's going to drive them straight into the danger that any sane person would run away from. It's that youthful feeling of being invincible that opens the door to this whole nightmare. So naturally, they wander off the main road, and what do they stumble upon? The old, creepy, abandoned church from the beginning of our story. One of them is hesitant, but a dare is a dare, and they step inside. And that's it. That's the point of no return. The story is officially kicking into high gear. You always have one of these in a horror story, don't you? The voice of reason. Mandeep gets a bad feeling, a bad vibe. He's basically saying what we're all thinking. Guys, maybe let's not do this. But of course, they don't listen. And that just cranks up the tension for us because we know he is 100% right. And I want you to notice how the tension builds here. The story doesn't just throw the monster at them. No, it's a slow burn. First, you get the classic jump scare, a swarm of bats. Then, something physical. Mandeep trips on a rope that shouldn't be there. Then the lights start to flicker, classic supernatural sign. And finally, bam, the main door slams shut. They're not on an adventure anymore. They're in a trap. And this is that moment, that cold, dread-in-your-stomach moment where reality just crashes down on them. What started out as a search for a quick thrill has turned into a real-life horror show. The door's locked, they're completely alone, and the fun is officially over. They are not in control anymore, not even a little bit. Okay, so the trap has been sprung. Now the story moves into its climax. That unseen thing, the source of the bad vibes and the flickering lights, is about to step out from the shadows and show them exactly what they're dealing with. And there she is. In a flash, a nun appears right in front of them, just staring with these huge, horrible red eyes. And then, just as quickly as she appeared, poof, she vanishes in a cloud of smoke. This is it. This is the confirmation. The rules of the normal world are gone. Let's just break down why this monster is so effective. Every single detail is designed to freak you out. The red eyes just scream evil. The pale face and burned skin, it all suggests something twisted and unnatural. And the fact that she can just turn into smoke? How are you supposed to fight that? Just when you think things can't possibly get worse, the horror becomes personal. The threat isn't just in the church with them anymore. It invades their group and takes over their friend, Justin. Now, the monster is wearing a face they know and trust. And look how the possession works. Jatin's body starts to perfectly mirror the nun's terrifying features. He's crawling on the ground in his creepy, unnatural way. His eyes turn red, his face goes pale. It's a horrifically effective trick because it forces his friends to fight the monster that looks just like their friend. So this brings us to the absolute peak of desperation. They're locked in a haunted church with a supernatural monster that has just turned one of their own against them. The situation looks completely and utterly hopeless. I mean, what do you even do at this point? But just when all hope seems lost, the story introduces its big counterattack. And it's not a secret weapon or a hidden escape hatch. It's the power of faith. And this is what sets the stage for the final showdown. Now,
To really understand what happens next, you need to know this. The Kara bracelet and the Kirpan dagger that Mandeep is wearing aren't just accessories. In Sikhism, they are incredibly powerful articles of faith. They represent a direct, unbreakable connection to God. And the story is about to turn that connection into a weapon. And here it is. This is the turning point of the whole fight. This supposedly unstoppable nun grabs Mandeep, but the second her skin touches his Kara, she recoils, like she's been shocked. For the very first time, the monster shows a weakness, and that weakness is the touch of pure faith. This isn't just a line of dialogue, it's a battle cry. As he says this powerful Sikh prayer, Mandeep completely transforms. He's not the scared kid anymore. He's a warrior, armed with his faith, and he is ready to fight back. The end comes fast. Mandeep strikes back with his articles of faith, and that act seems to summon this incredible divine light that fills the church. A priest suddenly appears, almost drawn in by this clash of good versus evil, and he performs the final exorcism. It's this amazing climax where different faiths come together to destroy the darkness. But the story doesn't just end there with a clean victory. A really good horror story loves to leave you with a lingering sense of unease. And this one delivers a final twist that plays with the very idea of what's real and what's not. So, the next morning, the priest tells them that Roshan and Jatin will have zero memory of what happened. It's like a supernatural cleanup. The event happened, but all the witnesses have had their testimony wiped clean. And then it gets even stranger. When they pass by the same spot the next day, the church is just gone. Not burned down, not in ruins. It has completely vanished. All the physical evidence is gone, leaving only Mandeep's memory as proof that any of it was real. And in the final gut punch of a twist, the priest erases Mandeep's memory too. Now, no one who was there knows what happened. The story says the town will remember them as heroes, but the heroes themselves will never know why. And that is the chilling question the story leaves us with. It suggests that some horrors are so terrible, the only way you can truly survive them is to forget them completely. It makes you ask, if no one remembers something, did it ever really happen at all? And that's a thought that sticks with you long after the story is over.